Is this the beginning of the end of the internet? The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a lower court ruling supporting Texas's net choice bill, which makes it illegal for online platforms with more than 50 million monthly active users to moderate the content of their users. I think this opens the door to a ton of problems. We'll talk about it on today's Not So Critical Update.
Perfect. Tell us a little about this, Mike. What are we looking at here?
So Texas passed a law that basically says if you're an online platform with more than 50 million users, you cannot moderate your users' content. If you take down a user's post for whatever reason, that's considered editorializing and therefore a violation of that person's free speech, even though you're a private company, because you're singling them out. So this was challenged and stood up, and now it's been appealed to the circuit court and stood up. So this could end up being a problem.
Yeah.
And basically in the article in The Atlantic, good article, clearly written by somebody who doesn't like this bill, as a lot of people shouldn't. But I mean, just think of how practical it is. Basically, they're saying that if somebody posts violent threats, terrible, hateful content, like lies, whatever they want, Facebook just has to let it go. Twitter just has to let it go. Any platform with more than 50
Where is the limit? Because we have federal laws in place to protect things. Like the first thing that comes to mind is child exploitation stuff. So if someone posts things that are in regards to that topic, they have to keep it up. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Well,
I don't think this is actually going to pass, will it? I don't.
It's the law in Texas. It's passed in Texas.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then I take it back. It's
it's Texas.
I can do some live research to see if it's actually like enacted already. Maybe the governor hasn't signed it yet, but I'm sure he will. Like this is kind of a Republican soup du jour. But to John, your examples, yeah, there are still things that are illegal. You can't make calls for violence. You can't share childhood sexual abuse materials. Right. But then the platforms are in a situation to evaluate the legality of everything that they take down and risk having that challenged. Right. So now, do they have lawyers reviewing all their posts before they take anything down? Is it?
Well, I've thought of a workaround for them while you were explaining it, and it's not pretty. But basically, it's splitting up the enterprise into 50 million user blocks. So let's say I'm Twitter. I have 1 billion users. Well, I make, I don't know how many it would be, 2,000 Twitters, and each one falls, or 200, I guess it would be, each one falls into like Twitter 1, Twitter 2. You're now part of Twitter 34. And you can still see each other's posts, but this is as backwards as it gets. Like, what kind of law is this? And especially the 50 million, this arbitrary number that they threw out, that if you're bigger than a 50 million user base company, you have to you can't moderate your users. Like,
yeah, it feels very arbitrary. Like, clearly they're trying to target Facebook and Twitter and single them out. They can't write the law for only 2 companies, but much like personalized ad targeting on Facebook, you can write the criteria narrow enough that it only applies to a specific company.
So
right.
There was someone who is this part of this article that deliberately started abusing this law, and they
yes.
Is this on this article? I can't remember.
They reference it in this article, but there's a separate story about that, the Reddit thing.
Yeah. So, do you have it ready, or is I just describe it?
There was a link to it, so let's see. loading here. Basically,
Yeah,
this
here we go.
political humor. Is this where they did it? Yeah. They
I-
basically said, until further notice, all subreddit posts must contain the phrase, Greg Abbott is a little piss baby.
Right, like it's already gonna backfire. Like you. So
Yeah.
okay, and then does this mean that
This-
Reddit moderators, because Reddit is bigger than 50 million, so Reddit
Yeah, exactly.
moderators can
They
now
cannot.
not delete posts.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
And if
that's
they
the whole
ban
point.
you,
I was thinking about that, and I'm not sure, because if you're a moderator, if you're a Reddit moderator or a moderator of a Discord server, which we have, for example, our listeners could join using the link in the description below. Should, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
We do moderate that channel.
Yeah.
So, but
Not all
I
of us-
think potentially a difference is we're not employees or representatives of the platform. We're moderators of a community that we manage on the platform. So
yeah, that's the whole point. I think that's the thing in Reddit, is that the admins are unable to take down any of the posts that say that they would have taken down otherwise, that are just offensive or libellous or slanderous or whatever the term is. But yeah, the moderators of that, so the community have dictated that you have to include what's the guy's name? Is it
Greg Abbott,
piss
the
baby?
governor of Texas.
Greg Abbott. The governor of Texas is a big piss baby. And they'll delete any posts which don't have that. That's the new rules. And the admins can't do the people who own Reddit cannot do anything about this at all. It's a completely unworkable law in so many ways. It's just so ridiculous. And they're just, I don't know. I don't think it's going to what happens to laws like this? Do they just sort of fade away, or do they get repealed?
I think they get basically they get to play the game of Facebook. Let's use Facebook as an example, has a few options on the table. They get to say, we will not serve Texas residents. Facebook will be inaccessible to anyone connecting from Texas.
I think I actually read, though, that there's a stipulation that says they can't exclude any platform that excludes Texas can be sued by a Texas citizen for discrimination.
Oh, they saw that coming then.
Oh yeah. Right. I guess the thing is, what happens if the company doesn't care and they get sued by Texas because they're not serving Texas in Texas? You know what I mean?
Likely it'll
it's
get
not-
appealed and eventually go
such
to the
a
Supreme
mess.
Court, and God
Yeah.
only knows what the Supreme Court's going to do with
What
something
the
like
hell?
that.
Well, it's so clearly designed to just prevent the type of speech that they don't like, right?
Yes,
Somebody
yes.
said some
Well-
stuff that they don't like, so
Well,
they're
it's
like,
burning
right,
the bridge. It's burning the bridge that they're all on, right?
yeah,
Both sides are on the same bridge, and they're saying, well, if we can't play our way, no one gets to play.
Do you know what it
It's
reminds me of?
flipping the table.
It's that law that says that they required you to write "In God We Trust" on all textbooks or something in something. Was it in schools? Yeah, something like that. And they wrote it in God We Trust in Arabic, and it because the law didn't
specify the language.
Yeah,
Any-
exactly.
Any religious sign or any sign that says "In God We Trust" donated by a private corporation to a public school had to be displayed in the school.
There you go.
Something weird like that. The thing. So Peter, you said they want to get rid of speech that they don't like. I think it's actually the opposite. What I've been saying to people about this is that
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
freedom of speech is to content moderation what states' rights was to the Civil War. Everybody knows the Civil War was about slavery. They said it was about states' rights, but it was the states' right to own slaves. Here, the issue isn't that it's a freedom of speech issue. The issue is that they want to have the freedom to say whatever horrible bullshit online without any consequences. They're trying to say that it's about this thing that it's not. So it's cynical. It's such garbage. It's such garbage.
Yeah.
It really is. I don't know. I don't see it propagating much further than Texas, though. I mean, there are other places which.
there might be a couple other states that are like, yeah, But no,
Yeah,
this
okay.
can't fly. Like
Florida for
these
sure.
are private.
I think-
This sounds like they're socializing. This is the biggest ironic take.
Yeah,
It sounds like they're socializing big corporations.
that article is a bit hyperbolic. Or hyperbolic. I don't know. How do you say that word?
Hyperbolic. I would say it that way.
Hyperbolic. Yeah, yeah. But then you say
Hyperbole.
hyperbole, which really
I know.
screws me up.
You
Terrible.
don't even pronounce the Y. You say hyperbole.
Hyperbole. Anyway, I always read it as hyperbole in my head. I don't know
For
why.
most of my life, I thought indictment and indictment were two different words because the way I read it,
Oh,
and also epitome and epitome.
Oh,
I
epitome.
felt very,
That would
I
get
felt
me as
very
well.
dumb when I pronounced finite, finite, because
Uh-huh.
Oh,
infinite and finite makes sense to me.
Sure,
and
yeah,
it's
sure.
actually pronounced finite, and I'm like, that doesn't add up. That's just how I read it. Obviously, it was finite.
The one that gets me, and I think this is not as common, is misled.
Misled. I
don't even know what that means.
Word.
Yeah, it's when you've misled someone.
Never even heard that word. Never heard it. Never
For
read
real?
No,
speak
the
English
word
here, Peter.
the word misled
Yeah.
is
Oh.
misled. I always
Oh.
read it as misled in my head.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking
it.
about, Peter? Okay.
Didn't you put
I've
those
had-
two
But
bits together?
how do you read that as misled? It's misled, isn't there? Like miss and then led, like
mizzled.
I know, but
Mizzled.
like it's
and
I
then
don't
I
know.
mizzled Peter. That
I've
sounds
had-
bad.
Anyway, all right, we're
Three
way off
different
track here.
people.
It's-
I've had 3 different people comment on Peter's pronunciation of porn versus pawn. Which we
porn,
Thoughts?
porn versus porn.
Oh yeah. It's the same thing.
Brawny.
Where's the
Brawny
office
porn.
meme?
Yeah.
They're the
At
same
any
thing.
rate,
Yeah.
Peter, wrap up this
Oh,
story.
man. Okay. Yeah.
Let's get out of
well,
here.
It's definitely, it was a very hyperbolic, it was clickbaity article. It's not the end of the internet. I don't think many other people are going to take it up, but let's see what happens. Maybe it's going to be like one of those horrible things that just, takes root and festers. But, the rest of the world isn't going to do it. So whatever. There you go.